Hello, and thank you for joining me today. Today, I would like to talk to you about obedience in the Lord. Obedience in the Lord is simply obeying what He asks us to do. It first takes us listening to Him, and second, it takes us doing what He just asked us to do. Listening to the Lord takes us getting in a place of focus. It takes, as I've said before, being in tune with Him and tuning out all the junk that this world kind of throws our way. It takes us getting away from that and getting into that secret place with Him. That there's no distractions. There's nothing that can seem like penetrate what we've got going on. And as we getting to that place and that focus with Him, it becomes way easier to hear from Him. Some of the biggest ways we hear from Him is through His Word, by praying and fasting. And as we do those things, as we read His Word, as we do our praying and we do our fasting, we will hear from Him. And as He speaks, you know it. There's no doubt. Well, sometimes there's doubt. The enemy likes to throw that tactic on us, but you still know that what the Lord's asked you to do. Sure, you can still test the Spirit to see if it be of God, but God will never ask you to do something that goes against His Word. And when you hear from the Lord, write down what He says. Don't leave out any details. He can be and He will be very specific. So don't miss those details. I remember once I was praying about going to do some devotionals at a nursing home. And as I was praying then, the Lord told me when I go, to ask for a woman, but only ask for her when He tells me to. He even gave me her name. And I have never been to this nursing home, never really met anybody there. I knew a guy who was there, but I didn't know the employees and didn't know a lot of the patients that was there. But as I was praying, the Lord told me to ask for this lady. And like I said, only when He prompted me to ask for her. And I remember going to the nursing home with the full confidence in the Lord that He's sending me there. I'm going to be doing some devotionals, but still wondering in the back of my mind, Lord, what are you up to? What's the deal with this lady you've asked me to ask for? But I met with the woman who was in charge of setting up the people who do the devotionals and so forth, and was doing my interview with her, and she showed me around, and we went back to her office and was sitting down and just finishing up, and there was another woman there by this time, and was finishing up my interview, and all of a sudden I heard the Lord say, ask for her now. And so I asked the woman there with the interview, I says, ma'am, do you have a so-and-so that works here? She says, oh yeah, absolutely. Do you want me to call her? And I was like, yes, please call her. And she called her on the phone, and she said, okay, I'll be right over. Give me 5 minutes. And so she asked me, do you have 5 minutes to wait on her? And I was like, absolutely. And so 5 minutes or so passed, and here she came into that office, and I remember I stood up, introduced myself to her, and the other two ladies there they were like, "Y'all don't know each other?" And we were like, "No, we've never seen each other. We've never met. We know nothing about each other, except I did know her name." And I told her my name at that time, and I said, "I was praying last night, and the Lord told me to ask for you. I was wondering if you had anything you needed to talk about." And it's like the floodgates opened. We're all crying, and we stepped out, and she was telling me about some stuff that was going on in her life and some battles that she was facing. And I remember we both prayed about it, and as I left from her, I remember just the strength that she had, and the peace that she had, knowing that, she'd been praying, but knowing that the Lord had heard her prayers, and He sees her where she's at. And it was all possible because of obedience in the Lord. Another time, the Lord asked me and my wife to leave Georgia. I'm a Georgia boy, and He wanted us to leave our family. He wanted us to sell our house we had, to get rid of a lot of things, to follow Him. And I look back, and it's kind of reminded of Paul when he says, the things I've lost to know the Lord, I count them as nothing. To know Him, to follow Him, to have that closer walk with Him, nothing can compare to that. And then He asked us to leave. He asked me to leave a wonderful job that I had there. And I remember a customer of mine he was telling me, he says, "Josh, you're crazy for leaving all of this behind. Why would you do that?" And I remember telling him, I says, if the Lord, we were getting ready to, at that time, to move to Texas. And I remember telling him, if the Lord were to only send us there for one, would that one still not be worth it? I've been that one that the Lord left the 99 for, and I know so many others have. And I'm so thankful every day that He left that 99 to reach me. He sought me out, and He called me. He knocked on my door, and I opened, and I wasn't really fully prepared for the walk that He has for me now, and I'm still in preparation, it seemed like, on a daily and weekly basis. But I am so thankful that I opened that door to Him. But walking in that obedience of the Lord is going to cost us something. Sure, He may ask you to leave your job and pursue another. He may ask you to leave your family to follow Him, to sell your house. He may ask you just something as simple as helping the neighbor across the street. He may ask you to volunteer in your church. He may ask you to help that homeless man or woman on the corner. But when He speaks, obey. And in your obedience, you will be drawing closer to the Lord. You'll be walking closer to Him than you had before. You'll be becoming that disciple that He has called us all to be. I was reminded of a verse, John chapter 3, verse 30. It says, He must increase, but I must decrease. For the Lord to increase in our lives, we must humble ourselves. We must allow Him to guide us according to His will. To put ourselves aside. Be obedient in what He has asked us to do. To walk in His righteousness and His holiness. So another question that came to my mind was, do you love the Lord? And ask you, do you love the Lord? And if you've asked that question to most every believer in the Lord, everyone would say yes, I would imagine. But even the Lord says in John 14:15, He says, if you love me, keep my commandments. So He's saying, He's asking first, if you love me. It's kind of like a statement and a question. But then He's also commanding us to, well, then keep my commandments. Showing obedience in the Lord is showing Him that we love Him. We're not being only hearers of the word, but we're being doers of the word, are we not? And I've told y'all before, the Lord asked me and my wife recently to move to Arizona. We got new uncharted territories out here we haven't been before, and things we've never seen, but it's really wonderful to be in that perfect will of the Lord, no matter where you're told to go, the sacrifices you made to get there. Well, we moved out here and we got our RV set up. And as I said in the last video, we are waiting on the Lord to open a door currently for us. But in everything we've done, the Lord has directed our steps. Even to our current RV site we're in, even. Told us exactly where to go. And we have obeyed. And we'll continue to obey. Yes, there's still some things that the Lord has not revealed yet, but He will. But also, isn't that where our faith comes in? Is it okay that I don't really fully know how the story goes yet? How this chapter's here in Arizona is going to go yet? But even if I don't know how these middle chapters are going to go, I know how the book ends. It ends with the Lord being magnified and Him being glorified, with His word being preached, with Him reaching that one. It ends with obedience in the Lord. So as you continue your walk with the Lord, listen to Him and what He asks us to do. And when you know what He has asked you to do, the next step is doing it. Do it when He asks you to do. Don't delay. Sometimes it's like, well, we're waiting on the Lord, but sometimes the Lord's waiting on us. But walk in that obedience with Him. Know that He is with you, that He is guiding your steps. Saying all this to say, when the Lord has called you to do something, no matter how big or small you think it may be, just do it. God has a purpose for it. But not only that, do it because you love the Lord. What impact you will make in someone's life. Know that it's not a matter of if you're going to, or you ask yourself, will I? Certainly you will. The Lord asks you to do it. It's going to make an impact in someone's life. So say His word will not come back void. And it was your obedience in the Lord that made it happen. I hope and pray that this word it gives you strength. Maybe bring some clarity to some things the Lord has asked you to do. But it brings also confidence in being obedient to the Lord. Do what He's called you to do. And you'll be all the better for it. You'll be stronger. You'll go further than you ever thought He would lead you. It's a wonderful, wonderful place to be. Thank you for watching, and may God bless you.